Your expertise is blocking your growth. The very skills and credentials that you have trusted and relied on to give you the credibility that you have today, those skills and credentials are the exact reason that people can't tell you apart from the thousands of others who have mastered the exact same playbook. So if you keep leaning into training and learning and credentials and not dare to create, you will always blend in and you will never be different, and people will never see your true value. I'm Michelle Sorgaroli, and I coach seven-figure business owners who have plateaued and are stuck, and they're ready for a breakthrough. They want to stand out, be more authentic, and get results that matter. Let me tell you about my client, Bernie. He went through something very similar. Bernie is a client I worked with some time ago, and he came to me because he was feeling stuck. He had plateaued. He was highly credentialed, was a true expert in his field, and he was having trouble simply trying to break through and get clients who really felt that they valued him. Now, Bernie was, like I said, an expert, very, very good at what he did, but he was stuck. And he kept hitting a glass ceiling in terms of his productivity, in terms of the results he was generating, and he could not break through. So what we did is we worked together on a very specific program, my Blueprint program. We worked on that together. And during that time, Bernie discovered his authentic self. He discovered his voice. He discovered what truly mattered to him. And in a very competitive, very traditional life insurance industry, Bernie was able to transform his business by bringing mindfulness and enlightenment into the insurance industry. Now, can you imagine anything more courageous? He took a leap of faith and brought his full self forward. Through the fear and through the courage, Bernie discovered his true self, and his clients and his community discovered who he really was. That opened up an entirely new horizon of opportunity for him. So much so that his business completely transformed. He did nothing different. Bernie and his team were still highly, highly qualified and experts in life insurance. They know their craft. What they did differently was give their clients an experience of mindfulness, some meditation, and some space to breathe that allowed them to stand out in the client experience. So how do you break through from that trap? How do you stand out in a commoditized industry where everyone claims to be an expert? You stop competing on knowledge and you start competing on creativity. You stop relying on the formulas and you start rewriting the rules. And you shift from being just another expert to being the leader that people can't ignore. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. 3 powerful shifts that will pull you out of the crowd, help you own your unique voice, and make you the only choice that matters. So what do you need to do first? Step 1, the very first thing you need to do is figure out what you stand for. I like to call this your essence. When you are solving a problem, when you are trying to create value for your clients, where's the first place that you go? Of course, you have to do some things to figure out how to do your work. You're looking for the problem. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not about looking for the problem. I'm looking for what you genuinely and passionately want to solve. What is it that you are most interested in? You're going to have to do some information gathering. You're going to have to figure out what matters to your client. You're going to have to figure out what is it that they actually need. You're going to need to figure out all of that, and that's all part of your job. But when I'm talking about your essence, I'm talking about where your curiosity goes first. What's the juicy part that you really want to get into? For some people, it might simply be the relationship. Who is this person, this client? Who are they? Or maybe for you, you want some data. You want to get to know, what are the numbers behind this problem? What is it really that's going on in the numbers? Or maybe you're curious about where they want to get to, their future vision or objective. Or maybe there's some internal stuff that you're trying to figure out. What's their mindset? What's their worldview? What your job is, the very first, is to figure out, again, when you are in the process of doing your job, what's the juicy part that you can't wait to get to and you're excited to get into that? So that's what we might call your essence. If you can define that in 3 words, it will help you have what I call the triage that supports you at any point. It's like your anchor. 3 words like that would describe who you are and how you solve the problem. What I'm getting to is themes. So you might have themes like clarity, significance rather, analysis, might be strategy, it might be curiosity, whatever it is. Who are you? What are you wanting to figure out? So that's your essence. Choose 3 words that determine how you approach, or the themes that you choose to go after, the themes that are most dominant for you when you are trying to solve the problem. So that's your first step. The next step is to think about what's most important to you. And most often interestingly, we're taught that the thing that's most important to us is the things that are important to our clients. And yes, that is true. We must address the things that are important to our clients. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, that is true. And you also need to think about what's important to you. So where I like to start is there. Let's start with what's important to you first. What kind of value do you want to create? And where I go here is the commitments that you have or the promises that you make. What are the promises? Not because you need to make them to do your work, not because you make them because you think you have to in order to be competitive or to keep your clients. Those are promises that you're making for others. What I'm talking about is promises or commitments that you're making to yourself for the benefit of others. And these commitments are the ones you kind of can't help yourself from already doing. These are embedded in your DNA. They're kind of who you are. So these promises are the ones that you do because you can't help yourself. So a little example I like to give of that is, for me, I don't like to be late. So as much as my clients benefit from that, that is not something that I do for them. That is disingenuous or inauthentic to me. I don't have to try to be on time. I just am on time. So it's a very easy commitment to make. That's an example of the type of thing I'm looking for. Ideally, it's a little more robust than that. But why do you do what you do? And think about bigger picture, things that you can't help yourself. So there are any number of reasons, for example, in my case, that I like to be on time. And I personally, I can't stand being late. I don't like to be late. It makes me dreadfully uncomfortable. So it's very easy for me to make that promise. What kind of promise can you make to yourself that also benefits your clients? So these are promises that you are already, again, you're already doing these things, and you may undervalue them, or you may have considered that they're not important. You may have not even built an awareness around these things because you're thinking about what your clients need. So start first with what you promise to yourself. What are your commitments that you do for you because it's important to you and your clients benefit from that? So these are not things that some examples where people tend to go sideways on this or make mistakes is they say things like, I'm going to work out every day. Okay, that's a commitment that you do every day, and maybe that's very important to you, but that's not something that your clients can benefit from. So we're looking specifically for things that you do routinely because you can't help yourself, and your clients benefit from them. So that would be what we call your promises or your commitments. And once you have those drafted, then you can start looking at your worldview. Think about your beliefs. What do you believe to be true? What do you believe about being successful? What do you believe about your industry? What do you believe about your work, your job, how you do it? And ideally, these beliefs are things that you don't necessarily want to shout off the rooftops. They're things that perhaps you keep to yourself. Like I said earlier, your expertise is getting in the way. Your expertise is blocking your growth. That is a provocative belief. So you want to create beliefs that are debatable, but that are very, very true for you. And these are worldview ideas, big ideas, concepts that actually inform how you create value and why you do what you do. And if you can start to get really clear on what your powerful opinions or what your beliefs are that are different from others, then you can start to understand what is informing your value proposition. You can start to better understand why you do what you do. You can understand what it is that makes you unique. And these are the things that will help you and support you in the creation of your differentiation strategy. So, do you actually need to become more of an expert? Do you actually need to take more training? What I'm going to suggest is at this point, you simply need to do the work to create clarity for yourself. And when you understand how your expertise is now locking you up because you've been trained how to do what you do, if you allow yourself to explore how to do it differently now, how to do it in ways that align with who you are, as opposed to what others have done, what you've been taught to do, and the formulas that are the training ground for your expertise. You can let go of all of that now. And this is the way forward for you. So I'm going to invite you to go to our next video, which is all about training. What is training impacting in terms of your growth? And why is training actually not helping you compete in a crowded industry?